interviews, biggest story that's been happening. Now today, Motivation Monday, I'm excited. Why? Because the questions will not get to come from me. Well, I get to ask a few questions, but you have the opportunity to ask that question. Why? Because Roland here is full of wisdom. It's not every day you get somebody who's an author, who's also a marketer, and above all, a motivational speaker, somebody who motivates and brings out the best in you. And so this morning, we brought our audience into the studio, and then we asked that they come and throw the questions to Mr. Roland Ofori, which he loves to do mostly. If you see him during his atomic period, when he's giving speeches or when he's motivating people, he likes to speak to people one-on-one, which later today on MX24 TV will bring you his show. He gets to tell us why and everything about that show. But prior to that, today 7:30, let's be the first to tap into that knowledge. Okay, so Mr. Roland Ofori here gets to tell us some of the books he's written, how he started out as a marketer. But importantly, my audience here, to my left, maybe on your TV will be to my right, but my audience here to my left here. I've got Martinez here, fine gentleman. I've got Portia here, gorgeous woman. I've got Johnson over here, and I'm very biased for my favorite one here, CK right there. Good morning, gentlemen and lady. Okay, now let's welcome our guest. Who amongst you want to welcome the guest? Martinez, would you like to welcome our guest?
Of course I would want to. Yeah.
Okay, please make sure you use the mic. Oh, wait, so we're going to be rotating the mic, so be careful with it. Okay, so Martinez, please welcome Mr. Roland Ofori.
All right, so it is a great privilege having you here this morning. And we thank you so much for coming here this morning. And we believe that we will eventually tap into your pool of knowledge with regard to the area that you are here to discuss with us. So we thank you so much once again for that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Roland, my question would be, do you think that in recent years, especially after COVID, marketing as we know it is still marketing as it was years ago?
Yeah, so marketing remains marketing. I think how it is expressed gets to be evolved, right? Our tools of trade gets to be changed. And to your point, with COVID, we've seen the key role with respect to technology, which means that the phase where we could interact with consumers one-on-one was very much limited. We are now getting back into that phase again. But it therefore meant that you still needed to create that good impression with someone lying on the bed and then watching your stuff. So it meant that your content is supposed to be that compelling enough for someone to want to kind of interact with you. Because if I'm locked in a room with you, you are forced to listen to me, right? But if you are in the comfort of your home and I'm still trying to communicate to you, then it is important that whatever I'm throwing at your doorstep, you feel it merits your time. So I believe that how the post-COVID era has shaped marketing is ensuring that your narrative and your content is very compelling.
Okay, okay. Which one do you enjoy most? Being a marketer, an author, or a motivational speaker? Which one do you enjoy? If you're sleeping okay, so maybe two questions. If you're sleeping and I woke you up now, which one would come to you easily? Then again, my question 1B would be, which one do you enjoy most?
I think writing is part of me. Okay. Yeah, I write a lot. And yeah, motivation and marketing, I see myself that for me, the marketing is comes out better than the other. But yeah, it is part of me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before we go to these young, which group of, target for motivation is the most difficult? The youth? Or the group you already and will say they don't have enough time? Or that youth that is so full-blooded and, is hitting their head so much, they're stuck between the hard place and the rock and they don't know what to do? Which group of these people would you say that in your years of practice as a motivational speaker is being the tough to talk to?
Yeah, obviously the old dogs. Yeah, they always have a couple of experiences. And interestingly, most of the experiences are not in their own. Like, oh, this guy tried it and it failed, and this guy tried it and it failed.
Okay.
So they are quite difficult to kind of convert. I think the next batch are kids. I always say that if you can capture the attention of kids for like 10 minutes, then you are that good, because they are so pure, so authentic. If it doesn't work for them, they'll let you know it doesn't work for them. But of course, I also happen to be a youth coach, and I also manage the youth ministry at my church. So I love speaking to the youth. As you said, they are full-blooded. You know, the energy is there, the sense of curiosity is there. They want to do well for themselves. So they are like an open book. And I think I prefer spending most of my time with them, because for them, they've not made so much mistakes, and they are open to kind of, you know, get the right stuff to go out there and then do well for themselves. Yeah.
Okay. Then, guys, it looks like we're in the safe hands this morning. Okay, if I start with Portia, they'll say that the women have come. The women have come. So you, Martinez, keep your microphone. Let me start with you, Martinez. What's your question? What will be your first question?
All right, so my first question will be on one's personality.
First of all, tell us your full name, what you do. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and then you can go in.
All right, so my name is Martinez Kojoku Makweku. I was once at the Department of Communication Studies, University of Ghana, where I read Com Studies. I am an intern here, and I believe that with the knowledge that I will acquire here, I will go places with it. And it's been a very wonderful experience being here this morning. Okay. And so my question goes to you, and over the years, we've seen people find themselves in various job positions, and they have the academic credentials, no doubt about that. But they usually appear as square pegs in round holes, probably because of one or two issues which are very much obvious. I'd like to know from you, if you are choosing a career, should you emphasize your personality? I may be, very brilliant in the field, but probably may be a very bad leader. Okay, I may be a leader of a team, and I may not excel that much because my personality trait does not, exude that quality. And so my question to you is, must we emphasize our personalities when we are choosing a career? Thank you.
All right, thank you for your question. And I'll assume that you are coming from the perspective of a young person, right? I would say that if you are young, it is such an early time, right? And the reason why averagely we complete uni around 22, 23, I tell people that your first 5, 7 years, anything that comes up, just get involved, you know. My understanding of who I was when I was in college has definitely evolved by virtue of the kind of exposure and the kind of situations I've faced, right? So what I would say is that if you are starting your career, be open to all kinds of experience. Yes, I hear your point around personality traits, and what I can say is that a lot of these things can be learned and unlearned, right? So normally when we are looking for a leader, you might think that the outgoing person, the sanguines, they are the best leaders. But I've seen that most of the time, top management, it is the cool-headed guys, but they've been able to, come out of their shelves and reach out and cut to their people for them to know that they care, right? And in a very genuine and compelling way. And they don't have to talk much, but they carry that presence and they are able to deliver. So I don't want you to kind of box yourself and say that, hey, I am, because of my nature, I'm shy in talking to people, I cannot lead. Everybody can lead, right? So just be open to the experiences. The more you get exposed, the more you realize that there are things you can learn. And you find someone who is just like you, who is doing well. Model that person and improve upon it, and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Okay, do you have a follow-up question to that? Okay, before I go to Portia, let's expand this question a little more. And even if you find yourself in a situation where you have to, by all means, tell the person the kind of personality, your employer, or where you find yourself, would it be your duty, for the sake of equity, would it be your duty to say that this is my personality, but I'm open, learning from what you've just said, but I'm open to whatever that's given to me because it's a learning process for me? Or it will be the employer's duty to want to ask, what kind of personality do you think you have? If you don't necessarily highlight it in CVs, I barely see that in CVs anyway. Yeah. But if the employer, it's proactive to want to say that, what kind of personality do you think you are?
Yeah.
Whose duty should the person looking for the job or looking to learn tell them that though I'm open, this is my personality? Or it's the duty of the employer?
Yeah, I think by and large, if you read a job profile, you can easily pick the clues, right? So you exactly know what is being required, right?
Right.
And yes, there are a lot of cases where maybe there's a role for a sales job, right? You are not that outgoing person. If your prospective employer wants to take a bet on you, you've read the profile, you know that it requires a lot of interaction. What you need to do is as you said, is to be able to, give that spoiler alert, saying that, listen, I am very calm and collected. I might not look it, but I'm very good with people.
Right.
Find one or two examples, maybe something, how you connect your own siblings and kids. Maybe you are that pivot who brings
Right.
everybody, and tell the person straight ahead that, listen, I can do this, and I'm open to be coached and guided, and I'll give you a bet. If you don't say it, because most of the times, I always say that human beings, we have system one, system two. We are lazy by default. So I look at you, I pick the first impression, I move on because I have other things. So you have to kind of manage that prospective employer into that space to say, listen, this record, I believe I can do this, but I have this issue. So and I'm open to be coached and supported. So if you can do that for me, I will be able to give you the results. Yeah.
Thank you, Roland.
Right.
Let's move on to the only lady who's been saying, okay, we're two here. Portia, tell me about yourself, and you follow up with your question.
Okay, my name is Portia Cranton Adams. I studied journalism and media studies at GH Media School. So my question will be, what is the best advice can you give to one to help build their career rather than a simple or simply work to get a job? Please. Is that okay?
All right. Interesting. I'm just reading a book. I like reading a lot.
Okay.
And the book called Pie, P-I-E, right?
Regular pie, meat pie or pie chat?
Yeah, Pie. And it talks about empowering yourself. And it gives context around how you can play the corporate game and win. So there are three elements within that space. So the first P is performance, right? Which is what we all grew up to be told, that go out there, go and work hard, and you go far, right? Now the truth is that performance is the ticket to the game, right? Before anyone can take you serious, they will want to see whether you bring something to the table, right? So your ability to do your job brilliantly, always beating expectation is key. But it helps just up to a particular level, right? That's the basic requirement. Now, the next one, the I, is what we call image. And the image is the thoughts and the perception people even have about you before you even open your mouth. I'm sure that when I walked in here, you formed perceptions. I've also kind of formed perceptions about all of you. If someone asks me casually that, what do you think about, based on how you are appearing or maybe how you are sitting, I can figure something out, right? So, and that one is quite tricky. The author says that it accounts for about 30% of your career success, right? So it is not just about what you are doing, but the perception people have about you, how you carry yourself, right, is key, right? And then the last one is exposure. And exposure, I was having a conversation with a mentor, and the person asked me that, hey, it's been a while. You've been off the radar. And I was like, hey, I'm so much involved in this project. It's like, wow, you are doing well. But make sure that whilst you are buried in your work, when we raise our eyes, we don't see your shoulder, we see your face, okay? So just be intentional about who you expose yourself to, approaching mentors, ensuring that the right kind of people knows what you are doing is key. So to build a successful career, your ticket to the game is performance, right? But that will get you your image, right? You must look the part that you are aspiring to be, how you carry yourself. If you're in an organization, how the top people dress, this, adapt and use the same thing, then you begin to say, this guy guesses, right? You are on who can influence your career. Most of the time, it's not just your boss, but are important. And one thing I've realized is that successful people like to help. Sometimes we think that, hey, this person, if I put this person, hey, but you guys, those people really want to cut the impact, but many people are afraid of them. So if you genuinely want to, they will see what you are doing. And when the door opens, an opportunity, hey, there's this live lady, Portia. I think we should give her a chance. So it is the combination.
Morning. Now, I just might do some questions. Portia, I'm just thinking, and what have you been listening that is shocking to you?
I still love presenting, but I would love to produce. I love to be behind the camera.
Why so? Why so? How did you, and when did you arrive at that conclusion?
Just after school. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have any question you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You said that you were told that you speak well.
Yes.
And you present well.
Speak well.
You speak well.
Yes.
Then, so you're encouraged into journalism, right? If I share my example, I was trained as an engineer, as an electrical engineer.
Oh.
Yeah, and my dad took so much pride. Up to now, he still introduces me to that. The son, his son, the engineer, but, and I was a good engineer, but I realized that when I look at the hierarchy, there was nobody in the organization I was aspiring to be, right? Then I realized that, nah, this is not really for me. So I had to kind of find my way out of it. So, as I said, be exploring, but don't be too quick to say, hey, I want to be
behind the...
Maybe someone by, you're like, hey, if it was me, I'll be embarrassed. And the all kinds of experience that forces us to close ourselves. So I'll just say, be open-minded. Yeah, it will be good to know the production bit, because if you understand the dynamics of production, you become a super presenter as well. So just be open. Yeah.
I'm very much open. Like almost everything.
Okay, Pastor Johnson. Johnson, do you speak ever? Do you talk a lot? I think I've heard you speak twice today. Your name and you laughing now.
I do actually.
Okay,
Yes.
Tell me about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Meshach Tai Johnson, and I'm equipped in the area of journalism and media arts, specifically at GH schools or GH Media School.
Okay.
So my question, I first like to establish my personal observation, then I'll put my question from the angle.
All right, sure.
So personally, I think in Africa, when it comes to the issue of choosing career, there is nothing like your dream can become what system gives you. For example, I've witnessed where a teacher once asked a student that, what would you like to become? And the student become a lawyer. But if it's not possible, I'll manage teaching. And the reality is that is what is happening. Okay, and then number two is sometimes too there's no value given to some profession, or there are value given to some profession compared to others for the white collar. My question is, how do I, probably I should couch it this way. Would you advise that I should go for I should go for the profession which is given to me by the system, at the expense of what I'm passionate about. For example, if I like becoming a dancer or I like dancing, I want to become a dancer, and you see that the system, Charlie, there's no money with dancing and all of that. So go for something that you know you can get money from. So would you advise I should go for something like that at the expense of what I have passion for? That's my question.
Beautiful. I don't know what Roland thinks, but I think this is a great question and
Sure.
can be really dissected.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
If the time is there, I'm happy to break it down. So let me attack the context you set. In this part of the world, you don't have options, right? And you stick to what the system tells you. This reminds me of an incident when we were recruited as graduate trainees, and some Obroni came around. He was interacting with us, and he was asking the same question. That, oh, so what informed your choice of this career? Then got to a good friend of mine, Kwame. I was like, Chairman, you don't have career here. If you apply for a job, you get you stick to it to you earn. But I think that's a very limiting belief, right? I was giving you the example of my dad wanted me to just be an engineer, and I did it. But I realized that long term I wanted to do something else. Did I have to abandon? After school, I applied for jobs to many companies as an entry-level marketer. Oh, they say I'm not a serious person, right? But after I had the privilege of entering as a graduate trainee engineer, and then later doors opened and I moved into marketing. These same companies started chasing me. Now, there is a book by this gentleman, The Power of Positive Thinking, right? Norman Vincent Peale. And our mind and the universe, it works in a very funny way. And I always say that people will buy you before they buy what you have to offer, right? If you are quite positive about what you want to do, there are doors that comes your way, series of opportunities that comes your way for it to take you there, right? So, as the good book says, whatsoever your hand finds doing today, do it well. But don't never abandon the dream you want to kind of pursue. If you feel that your passion is in dancing, then you see yourself as the current job you are doing. It is to kind of ask yourself that how would that job help you into that space? That is when you realize that, hey, maybe I'm within the media space. I'll get to meet a lot of people of that entire. Doors just begin to open. And I'll give you an example. I had a colleague who was so passionate about early child development. She always talked about she wanting to build a school. But after school, she didn't have the means. She entered the corporate world, and then I think she landed in HR. But she knew at the back of her mind that this is what she wanted to do. So thankfully, when she got married, the husband also supported and shared that vision. So for that past 10 years that she was in the company, she was gathering her resources, acquired a piece of land, developed it, built network around the community. She's always involved in community work. And then she started the school on the side. It got to a point where the school had become so big, it was distracting her corporate world. So she now gladly walked out to go and manage a school. So it took her 10 years to get to that space where she wanted. But I can assure you that any opportunity that comes your way, there is always that job wall, and being open-minded that how can this help me get to that space? When you have that mindset, you will get there, I can assure you.
Thank you very much.
So if I understand, there's a role that the system in which we find ourselves plays in you achieving your dreams.
Yes.
So you might as well hold on to your dream, fitting into the system. Because then without the system, why are you going to show your dreams anyway? There's a system that will see and appreciate your dreams and your passion. So there's a system, the role it plays in you achieving your dreams. So you can do both, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on to CK.
Yes. Okay, so my name is Courage Koko. I'm a
I
trained.
didn't even know your C meant courage. Okay.
I'm a trained TV producer and a director.
Okay.
Okay, so I would like to ask about one or two things that we discussed before my question.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so first off, in your submissions, you were talking about how people see you first before they even know you and to know what you can do. Is it very much okay to first judge someone per their appearance before knowing them? Secondly, we are talking about personality. Also, how do an SHS graduate find themselves even before entering the university? Because mostly after or to the university, we get lost before someone tells us, oh, because you are doing this or that, you just try this. Okay. And then to my main question, as a TV and a director, we learned about soft skills recently, and want to know, or I want to ask, if you have a product that you want to put out there, now that you are in the social media generation, and someone might want to go off that marketing strategy, which other ways are there to marketize your product? Yeah.
Okay. Do I even remember all the questions? So let's take it one by one. The first question was about what?
About personality.
About personality. And you're asking whether it is fair. Right? You know, even the good book says that man looks at the outward appearance, but it's God that looks inside. Unfortunately, it is only God that looks inside. All what a man has is the outward appearance. So as much as it is not fair, that's the reality. And I can relate because I've been a victim, vociferous, you know, and she felt that the way I was calm, they were going to over me, if I have to use that term loosely. But after a while, like, the perception changed, right? Because I found a way to kind of bring the best out of them, and we never had any incident. And when I was leaving, we were even extending, and I was like, hey, I've missed Ghana, let me go back home. So, unfortunately, that's the reality, okay? And you have to kind of ask yourself, to my earlier point, how far do you want to go? It's not everybody who wants to be CEO, right? Some people, having a good work-life balance is very, very important to them. They want to be there for their family. They want to be there over the weekends, right? But to get to where they are. And they'll tell you it's not worth it if you don't get the balance right. Okay? So, but if you are determined to go that far in any chosen profession, then image matters, right? Image matters. If right now you are to go to a party, you go to the party and then you see, let me use this loosely, you see most of the people are white, then you see like some 2-3 black guys there. Before you realize you are there, right? Because you find yourself in there. If you go and then everybody is dressed in, you know, traditional regalia, you are in suit, then you find some 3 guys in suit, before you realize you are there. So normally, that's why I said that human beings by default, we are losing our thinking system one. So once there have been precedents of, oh, we had these guys who did so well in the company, this is the way they look, this is the way they dressed. By default, even when I'm recruiting, I'm very careful so that I don't recruit someone who's just like me. I have to fight against that bias, right? So if I'm recruiting, I hear, oh, this guy did engineering, and he wants to do my, I say, oh, this guy might be good. But I have to kind of fight that bias. But as human beings, that's the reality. So you have to kind of manage that image in a way that people can see and perceive you to be worthy, to be worth the part, and want to kind of, you know, give you the role. Does that clarify?
It's very clear.
Then your second question.
The personality, how to find yourself.
All right. So
The waiting period.
yeah. So you mentioned that you gave the example of an SS liver, right? And I'll tell you how I found myself, and I'm still discovering myself, right? the best thing I can recommend for you is books, right? Because our environment is dysfunctional, right? It is so dysfunctional, and it is so limiting, right? And the more I read, the more I realized that my ambitions and visions were valid. Because I remember there was a time I wanted to start a business. I spoke to my uncle. I was like, oh, just like that. Oh. So people, and people can only interpret and express themselves to you. If I know how to swim, and Portia, you tell me, oh, I want to learn how to swim, because swimming is easy. But if you tried it sometime and you swallowed 15 gallons of water, and I say, hey, we are woo, so unfortunately, so to your point, our system is not great, right? And by default, a lot of things will militate against you. The only way you can preserve your sanity is being exposed to the right information. But admittedly, at an SS level, how many CEOs can you have access to? How many top-tier, right-thinking people can you have access to? So please, books. And they sell them at the roadside. You find them, 20 cedis. Buy them, read them. It will change your paradigm, right? It will change your paradigm. Then all of a sudden, you will see that every year there is a significant gap between you and your peers. To a point where you can't no longer, when you meet, you can't talk about anything.
Conversations.
And I have some friends like I really liked, but we hardly talk because anytime you call, you say, 20 years ago, you got tea, mango bino. No, I've moved on. I get what I'm saying. So the best way for you to kind of preserve your sanity at that age is just invest in books. Read. You'll find out that your dreams are valid and you can build on from there. And as you progress, I don't believe I've fully discovered myself. So I will not kind of tell you that, hey, you're an SS liver. This is who you are. No, I might only be talking to you based on the limited information I have. Okay, so be open to self-discovery and read, and you'll be fine. And then I think your last question
would be, how else can you market your product or your service without going on social media?
All right, so marketing is just the series of activities you do to bring your product to the doorstep of your target consumers, right? So yeah, social media is one. But normally, even when we run campaigns, aside TV and, let's say, billboards, the third strongest way by which people know about the things you are doing is word of mouth. It's word of mouth. Right? So telling a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. But how can I tell a friend? It will depend on the kind of experience I have. The truth is that if I come and I buy your product or I interact with whatever service you are offering, and it's that great, it's not likely I'll even tell anyone until maybe she asks, oh, I want this. I'll say, yeah, this guy does. But Uncle, yeah, she'll just be there. She'll be, let me tell you something. That guy was I'll tell about 100 people. Okay, so one of the strongest potent force by which people can know about you is word of mouth. And the truth is that if someone I believe and trust in recommends your product, you don't need to talk to me again. I will just go ahead and buy. The person takes off that barrier, right? So word of mouth is key. Social media is key. But make sure that whoever interacts with you, you are delivering the service you claim you wanted to. Otherwise, you are doomed. Right.
Otherwise, you'd have to go and find Philip Kotler. He'll tell you the consequences of it. Okay, guys, I know you want to ask a lot of questions, but my time is up already. I promise you do part 2 of this. But if you want to experience Roland more, so tonight at 7:30, Corporate Nosy. So please, Corporate Nosy guy, this man here, tell us quickly about it today. What we're expecting to see is premiering today on MS24 television.
All right, so the thinking behind Corporate Nosy guy is to help young graduates and those who are just starting their career, to help them kind of bridge the expectation from the corporate world versus what they thought about, whilst they were in school. Because normally, I talk to a lot of university graduates a lot. I go to the campuses, I talk to them, and for some reason, people feel, oh, if I get a master's, I have a better chance. Maybe at a government job, but in the real world, things that doesn't happen. And I realize that there's always that significant gap between the understanding of how the corporate game is played versus reality. So I decided to make it my life mission to just assemble all the top tier guys who are doing so well in the corporate world. And you realize that their profile are not old, bearded men. Okay. These are young guys who are killing it, right? And they get to kind of share their life experience. But what makes this program unique is that it's not just they sharing their life experience, but they tell you they are subject matter experts. So if you are talking about human resource, the person is giving you the fundamentals of what it takes, to excel in the trade, and then as well as becoming a person like them. And then they also share their life experience. So it is a unique blend of, experiences I've put together with different kinds of people who are on top of their game across the corporate world in Ghana. And I can assure they're going to learn a lot from it. Yeah.
This is good. Thank you. Thank you. So today at 7:30 p.m. and then we'll also repeat it on Saturday, 5 o'clock or 5:30 there. But I'll bring you the correct time, the time that we'll play the